So one of the biggest ways to mitigate risk is by choosing your clients wisely. We all get that gut feeling, and it's not to say that there are bad clients out there, just the same client who would want to work with you wouldn't want to work with me necessarily. We just have different behavioral styles, different personality styles. We do things differently. And we tend to gravitate toward people who are most like us, so they speak our same language. So we're not a one size fits all, and that's okay. We're not meant to be. But when you feel that in your gut, like you know this is not going to end well. I have a saying, and it's, I'm in the business of exceeding expectations, and I don't feel like I can exceed yours.
Ooh,
so
I like
if
that,
that is
Leah.
the case,
Yeah.
I have a few. Ringers. Ringers? Zingers? I don't know. They're doing something with ingers in there.
Hey there, and welcome to episode 6 of Backyard Gossip. We are still in Litchfield, Arizona with our broker, Leah. We love her. And on this episode, we're just going to talk about anything. No, I'm sure not really anything. But we're going to talk about some really good stuff. Again, my name is Maisha Fair.
I'm Jeremy Rangel.
I'm Elias Black.
And this is...
Leah Wolf Kramer.
Welcome to
love her.
BYG. This is Backyard Gossip, where we talk about anything and everything related to real estate. Why? Because it's our show.
And we can.
That's right.
So today we're talking about things that can kind of help buyers and sellers and things, questions, concerns that buyers and sellers may have out in the real estate market.
And since we have our wonderful broker with us, who better than to ask these questions to?
All-knowing, omniscient.
So go ahead, Elias, with our first
So Leah,
BYG question.
I have a question for you. And I have my trusty tablet because I can't remember things like that. I remember contract stuff verbatim. This, not so much. So regarding buyers and sellers, what one thing would you say buyers and sellers can do to negotiate effectively with the other party?
There's really a lot of tips, but I'll try to keep them short and sweet. Sure. And one of them is don't be a beep. That's the biggest one. I think that so many times deals get contentious, and really they don't need to be. That we're so short-sighted about the little minutia of the deal that we're not looking at the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is you have a buyer who wants to buy your home, and you're a seller who wants to sell your home. So I don't believe that there's really such a thing as win-win. I know we hear that all the time, but at the end of the day, somebody is going to lose something. But the goal is to make it continuously proportionate, so it's always give and take. It's not somebody winning everything and somebody losing everything. Right. You win some of it, you lose some of it, and that's the compromise. That's what creates a good contract. So just bearing that in mind when you're going through the transaction, and it's frustrating. It's frustrating for both parties. It's frustrating for everybody and their mother and their father and their dog and everybody else that they're bringing to the walkthrough.
So you must have been to some of mine because I'm like, oh my gosh, everybody's coming. Yes.
But it does. It just becomes, and it's over all of a sudden we know, like looking in, if you were a third party looking in at this, it doesn't matter that there is a scratch on the wall that didn't used to be there. It is a 2-minute, $1 fix. Like, why are we so fixated on creating mountains out of molehills?
I agree 100%.
That is so true.
Thank you. So thank you for that. Those are actually really great tips for buyers and sellers. Now, Jeremy, Maisha, and myself, we're all real estate agents. You're a managing broker. You're our managing broker. And we love you.
Thank you.
So
I love you too.
Tell us a little bit about... Not by us.
She was not paid.
She was not
This
paid.
wasn't a paid advertisement, not at all. Not at all.
So, I love you. I love you. So the three of us are agents. You're our managing broker. Tell us a little bit, can you tell the folks what is the difference between a managing broker and the agents? What's your role versus what our role?
So I'm your boss, and as far as you're concerned, I'm God. Bear that in mind and you're good.
Fairly simple.
In all honesty, and again, it kind of depends based on There's different circumstances based on the brokerage that you're a part of. I'm a non-competing managing broker, so I'm there exclusively to help my agents. So I'm kind of your backup. I'm the person you call when you have questions. Your clients call you, you come to me if you don't know how to best answer their question. That's probably the biggest difference. So while I'm in the background, hiring agents, severing agents, training agents, mentoring agents, and answering questions for all of you, you're doing the same sort of thing realistically for your clients at the end of the day.
So I have a question for you. So what happens? Have you ever had to let an agent go for something that they've done?
Yes, I have.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, I
anything
have.
you can share with us, or anything that
Without naming names.
Yeah, of course. But anything.
Well, I
that
mean,
you
they're
can
not my
share.
agents anymore, so realistically, I'm not about. No, I am. I wouldn't do that. Depending on the circumstances, if I am getting constant complaints about your failure to respond to other agents, to clients, if your clients are involving me, depending on the circumstances, I'm always going to come to you. Like, I'm never going to talk to a client without having spoken to you about the situation first, making sure that I fully understood all the details, because they're looking at things through rose-tinted glasses, and I want to be sure that I have all of the facts, I've reviewed the file before conversing with them. But there have been situations where 100% my agent was in the wrong, didn't admit to that, didn't see to that, didn't understand ultimately, or was unwilling to understand corrective behaviors that needed to take place. And I just won't do it. I understand making mistakes. We're human. But I'm also the first one, like, if I've messed something up, I will admit it. Like, you don't have to drag it out of me. I'm like, oh, God, I screwed up. How do I fix this? How do I fix this for you? So yeah, agents who are just completely unwilling to see that and then become better at their jobs, I don't want any part of you.
Did you sever the relationship, or did they sever?
Oh no, I severed them. Yeah.
And do you find though too that us as agents can fire our clients too? And have you seen any issues with that happening, like with us letting some of our clients go?
Yeah, and I actually empower you to do that. So one of the biggest ways to mitigate risk is by choosing your clients wisely. We all get that gut feeling, and it's not to say that there are bad clients out there. Just the same client who would want to work with you wouldn't want to work with me necessarily. We just have different behavioral styles, different personality styles. We do things differently, and we tend to gravitate toward people who are most like us, so they speak our same language. So we're not a one-size-fits-all, and that's okay. We're not meant to be. But when you feel that in your gut, like, you know this is not going to end well. I have a saying, and it's, I'm in the business of exceeding expectations, and I don't feel like I can exceed yours.
Ooh,
So
I like
if
that,
that is
Leah.
the case,
Yeah.
I have a few. Ringers. Ringers? Zingers? I don't know. They're doing something with ingers in there.
Those are great tips. Thank you for sharing.
They are. They
Just
are.
the tip.
And just
And this is our managing broker, and we love her.
Just the tips.
Of your hair.
just to expand on that a little bit. So, like, say a person is on, I hate to say it, but on TikTok, and they're looking at these agents that they see online, and they reach out to them, and they're like, they're under the assumption that they are a great real estate agent based on the video that they posted. What would you say to a buyer or a consumer that's looking at that and say, what do you look for in a good agent? Because them posting a home tour online maybe isn't the best.
Caution and red flags. And I'm sorry.
Like, what else do they do? Like, what should
What should the consumer look for?
exactly? Yeah.
So somebody will have to explain to me what TikTok is. No, I'm totally,
I'm like,
I'm totally kidding. I am too old for this crap. Do your research. Like anything, this person is ideally going to be your consultant, your advisor through one of the biggest, if not the biggest purchase of your life. So I wouldn't buy something just based off of a TikTok video. So why in the world would I rely on a TikTok video or multiple TikTok videos or any videos for that matter, advertising based, to make that selection? Some of the biggest things, and we do this for everything, we ask people who they know. We ask for personal referrals. We're looking for testimonials. We're pulling up designation sites or looking to see who's actually producing. And there's easy ways to do this through any client option. I mean, you do a little searching online and you can find out pretty quickly how long have they been in the business, how many deals have they closed. Anything that they can share with me, not just about production, but how do they conduct business? At the end of the day, I would flat out ask the question, what are you going to do for me? I need to know what, are you going to commit your time to me? All of your energy? Are you going to be willing to answer my questions at 7, 8 o'clock at night? Like, one, set whatever your boundaries are, make those known up front so that there's no kind of gap or misunderstanding at the end of the day. But certainly don't rely just on videos. They may have attracted you to that person to begin with, but do your research and do your due diligence to find that right person.
Nice.
TikTok video doesn't mean the agent is amazing, although the three of us are. I need to check our production stats, too.
That doesn't count us.
No, but you can check our production stats and all of that fun
you
stuff,
can
and our
definitely
references.
look
That
so.
is very true. And we do know the difference between quartz and granite countertops. I'm just saying.
That was on a TikTok video. It was hilarious. But I will say, if we're talking about time and like you said, being available. So what does a day look like for you, Leah? Because you have over 400 agents. They're all calling you with
81
stuff.
agent.
Soon to be 483.
Yeah. So what does that look like? I mean, when do you start answering questions? When do you stop? And do people get annoying? And what does that look like? Is it crazy?
So are you familiar with the phrase herding cats?
No.
Do I need to
Elias knows?
show you
Elias
visually
knows.
herding cats? Let me explain to you. If you have a group of cats and you're trying to herd them all together,
Oh, okay.
there's a lot of
Oh, yeah,
scratching
yeah.
and hissing and weird noises and body flopping and everything. And that's kind of like what it is being a managing broker.
That
None
is
of you want
hilarious.
to just get in line and do what you're supposed to do. I have a whole shirt about being a cat herder. It is my professional job designation.
Are you? Do you really have a
June
shirt?
meeting. Yes, I do.
You do?
Yes, I do.
Okay, I'm gonna have to see that. But okay.
Wait for June.
Okay.
I totally forgot what the question was at this point. I got so distracted by cats.
But them calling you, the whole
day.
you, yes.
So
And how long are
obviously
you on?
I have 481 agents is a significant number for one person to kind of keep control over. Now the good thing is not all of you are doing things exactly at the same time. You don't all need me at the same time. I'm very good at time management. I have created boundaries out of necessity. Before I was working 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. So anytime between those hours, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, unless I'm on vacation.
Well, I didn't call you then, but anyway.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. My agents could have gotten a hold of me. Now I brought it back and I'm like 9 to 9. So 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. Yes, I worked on Easter. Yes, I worked on Christmas. Yes, I worked on Thanksgiving. But again, when it's something that you're passionate about and I know that I can answer something in 3 seconds that you're going to lose sleep over. So ultimately, if there are those kinds of emergencies, I want my agents to fit fo first, but then I want them to call me if they really cannot get the answer.
I must be like way different because none of my stuff is 3 seconds, but
I mean, my
stuff-
responses are 3 seconds. There's just a lot of backstory to your questions. You're not alone. I find out like the dog's name, how many people are in the family, what color their eyes are before we get to the. So here's the question.
Yeah.
I know a lot about the whole backstory first.
That's good.
Do you prefer short and concise, like, hey, we have this issue, this is what it is, and you'd rather answer it that way, or do you want to know, like, the whole story, like how we got here?
So it depends on the circumstances. And again, I'm pretty pointed. So sometimes I'll be like, I just need you to ask me the question. Other times I'll have people who are like, so here's the question. I'm like, whoa. How did we get to this point? Like, I need to find out a little bit more because what you're telling me isn't sufficient enough for me to answer. And then even through the course, and you've all experienced this, even through the course of our conversation, we're kind of going back and forth a little bit with our answers and responses, or questions and responses to figure out, okay, well, wait a minute, we didn't take that part into consideration at the onset of this conversation, so now let's kind of change the trajectory to figure out where we need to end up here. So some of it's just organic. There's not really a yes or no or right or wrong way to handle it.
Yeah. So tell me kind of, where do agents mess up, or where do you find out that we find ourselves in most trouble, like where we've been sued? Because obviously we can get sued too, right? Agents get sued. I think people
We have not been sued. We don't look to
we
get
have
sued
not
ever.
been sued. I've never been sued, but
Don't put that out there.
yeah, but I mean, agents do things, right? There's some agents who do get sued, and just so you guys know, agents can get sued. They can. Right. So have you seen some things that agents do that you kind of like, okay, or don't do that can find them in that type of situation?
So a few things. The first one, as I mentioned earlier, was mitigating risk. So your risk management is choosing your clients wisely. If you are getting a bad gut feeling at the onset, do not proceed, because I promise you it's not going to get any better. It's only going to get worse. The second one is, I know that we so many classes that we take, CE classes especially, kind of scare the hell out of you regarding the likelihood of being sued.
Right.
I've been doing this a long time. As far as lawsuits go, they are very few and far between. And interestingly enough, the few that I'm aware of, having kind of been a part of them, I don't really see my agent having done anything wrong in those equations. The wildest one so far that I had, we were named in a lawsuit. We didn't even represent a client in that lawsuit. We had agency and submitted an offer on behalf of a buyer for a totally different property. We had nothing to do with this transaction at all, but because we had been the agent for a separate transaction that they backed out of, we got called into the lawsuit. It was cheaper for us to settle than it was for us to
Really?
argue against it. So it's very frustrating. It is very, very rare that I see actual wrongdoing on my agent's or any agent's behalf.
That's
it exists.
good. Yes.
It exists. There's definitely some out there. But most of you are so good about staying in touch with what's going on or asking me before it gets to that point, before it's escalated too far, that it really is not an issue.
So buyers and sellers can fire their agents. You know, sometimes the relationship is always mutual. So sometimes it's a good fit for the agent to fit in. You know, the buyer's mindset and skill set should be similar to the buyer's agent, and likewise.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's not a good fit, and sometimes buyers and sellers can fire us all day long. Can you talk a little bit about how buyers and sellers can fire their agents, and then likewise how agents can fire their clients?
So I think a lot of people would be surprised. It's actually harder for them to fire you, the clients, to fire an agent than an agent to fire a client. So all of our contracts are bilateral. So whether that's a listing agreement or it's a buyer-broker exclusive employment agreement, there's mutual requirements on behalf of both. However, there is a clause written into both of those that, with cause, allows you as the agent to unilaterally cancel the contract. That is solely reserved for agents. I can't attest to how it is in other states, but in Arizona, those are clauses written into those. Contrarily, it is not a unilateral option for a buyer or seller. So ultimately, generally speaking, they're going to come to me because they wish to issue a complaint against an agent if you guys haven't resolved it. And almost always, it's not that an agent did something wrong, it's that the client didn't understand. And this is a good point across the board. We take for granted our knowledge. We think that our clients know everything that we're doing for them on a regular basis, and they don't. That's like somebody trying to discuss astrophysics to me and assuming that I know the basis for these things. I know how to spell astrophysics, and that's about the extent of my knowledge of it. I'm assuming it has something to do with the sky.
Yeah.
But outside of that, that's not my realm of expertise. And I think because real estate is such a common topic that we take on an assumptive role that everybody knows. Everybody knows how we get paid. Everybody knows what we're doing in the background. Everybody knows what our job function is. And shame on us for not really portraying our value, for telling our clients what we're doing, when we're doing it, and educating them along the way. So I think that does fall on us at the end of the day. But that would be just a little extra tidbit, a little extra pointer. But to kind of go back, so ultimately, try to do some basic conflict resolution. I promise you, though, if you're educating your clients along the way, if you're keeping them engaged in the process and aware of what you're doing, this is never going to be a problem. You're not going to have these issues. It's when they feel that you are not working on their behalf that they do a 180, and they don't care how much they loved you from the get-go. Now they don't want to have anything to do with you. And then I get that call, and then we converse and we discuss how do we want to handle this.
Well, I hope to never have that call with you.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Or with my client.
I'm fairly
So
confident, we wouldn't have that.
we go above and
conversation.
beyond. So
Yeah.
Do you usually give those, so like if something like that happened, do you try to say, hey, let me get this other agent to help you, or do you do any of that?
So that's a great question, and really it depends on the circumstances. I will tell you, in my experience, we're past the point of reason, and ultimately, if a solution could be found internally, I would certainly offer it. In one case, it was we had a seller who threatened the life of her agent.
Oh, wow.
Threatened to shoot her if she showed up on the property, and we're in the midst of a contract. We can't just drop the deal if we're in the middle of a contract. We have a fiduciary duty. We have to complete it. So at that point, I stepped in, and I personally took over until the end of that transaction. That's not an ideal situation for me. I'm not in the field anymore, so working with your crazy ass buyers and sellers is not necessarily something I want to do. You chose to work with this person. That is on you. You've got to see it through. But obviously, that was an extreme case. But yeah, for the most part, it would be very rare that I would push some of these horrible people onto another one
Full
of my agents.
disclosure, we love our clients. Our clients are not crazy ass people.
That's
They're
true.
actually really good people. Just kidding. Yeah.
No, but again, because they're your clients. So ultimately, when you are doing the consultations, you're doing, whether it's for a listing or it's for working with a buyer, you're engaging, you're learning about them up front. You're not just taking any Tom, Dick, and Harry that comes your way. At the end of the day, am I the oldest person that you all are looking at? Haven't heard about Tom, Dick? No Toms, no Dicks, no Harrys. Nothing about herding cats.
No.
I tried to say I would tone it down for this, and clearly this is not working.
You're fine. You're doing great.
In. No, I love that. But I know that I love my clients. My clients love me. My clients love me.
I don't think that we've ever, but again, to her point, like we know our clients.
Yeah.
A lot of them are referrals, they're friends, they're
I think
family.
we do a really great job of pairing ourselves with clients and
Yeah.
making that excellent relationship.
Yeah.
We also, I think we all, the three of us, and while I'm no broker, I'm no Leah, I just, outside looking in, I think we do a great job of cultivating relationships, staying in touch with our clients, and most of our clients are not just our clients where it's just a transaction and it's a one-time thing. They become our friends, our family. We do things with them for holidays. They come over, they swim, things of that nature, and it's just, I think we just have a deeper relationship with our clients.
Well, and if anything is called into question, I had referenced in the previous episode, like, take a step back, take a beat. I think so often if we are questioned, and this is definitely a personality trait, and it's very common amongst real estate agents, if we're questioned, we jump on the defensive. Instead of just saying, hold up, they're asking a question. They're not blaming me for something. It may sound that way, and potentially they are. But the best way to circumvent that is with just an honest, candid answer, but also backing it up with legitimate facts. So take a second, don't just react, don't become emotional in your response to it, just kind of shut it off, give it a minute, and then respond. Because ultimately, what they're complaining about is probably a deeper level issue, and it's up to you to kind of figure out what is the real problem here and how can I help solve it.
Oh, I like that.
That's
I
good.
like that too.
Awesome. Do you what one piece of advice would you share? Do you think would be most helpful to buyers and sellers out there? And I know there's so much, there's just so many things so many tools, resources we could give them. But if you had to give a buyer or seller one piece of advice, what would you share?
Don't trust Zillow.
Ooh, good one, Leah.
I mean, in all honesty, I think that we rely on these third-party sites that have massive advertising budgets to become our one-stop shop. Pick a solid agent who has a history of good performance, that can answer your questions, that can serve as your guide. You are invaluable, and ultimately they need you to help guide them through this process. You're their shaman.
Oh.
Well, thank you.
That's good.
Thank you.
Did y'all hear that? Did y'all hear it in the back?
Shaw man, Shaw woman.
Yes, but I like that because a lot of people do go to those sites and they're like, my house is worth $1 million because Zillow said it's worth $1 million. You're like, oh, it's more like $675, but okay.
And then they'll laugh it off, like, oh, we know Zillow's wrong, but mentally they've already formulated that this is what we've seen and this is what we believe. So there's a cognitive dissonance ultimately where it's not, what they're saying is not what they're actually feeling, and it's not being conveyed to you properly. So don't even start there. Don't look through that. Don't buy into the third-party garbage. Come directly to a professional that can actually answer your questions.
And with that, we are wrapping this up. We will be on the next episode. We will be in Sacramento, California. So we're so excited. We have a special guest there. So we'll be able to tell you a lot about California. And like always, if you're looking to buy in Arizona, you can DM us, message us, call us, however you want to reach us on any platform, reach out to us. We'd love to help you. And if you're looking in another market, hit us up again. We'll find you an agent who's going to work for you there as well. And Leah, thank you so much for inviting us to your home.
Absolutely.
You guys are going to see how amazing her house is. We're going to get some pictures. Her house is gorgeous. So thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, and we're excited.
Absolutely.
And if you're in the real estate business and you're looking to find a home with a broker,
Yes. Yes.
Or
She's
she's
amazing.
pretty amazing.
Or if you're an Arizona agent and you're looking for a new brokerage, or you're going to be newly licensed or relicensed or what have you, you need a home.
And it doesn't matter where you are in the valley. We come from very far to be with this woman here, like very far. So where I'm a good 45 minutes away, these guys are probably over an hour away. So it doesn't matter where you are in the valley. She's amazing, and we love you.
Well, thank you. I love you all too.
Yes.
So, if there's anything that you'd like to talk about, or have a burning question that you need answered related to real estate, let us know. Leave a comment. We're happy to help, and let us know where you want to see us next. And we hope to catch the tea with you on the next BYG.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.